Howdy, folks. It's your boy, B3, back with another kicking graphic novel review. It occurs to me that it has been far, far, far too long since I touched a Marvel book. So I went back and reread this book so that I could review it. It is Marvel's Devil's Reign, which is great. A while back, I reviewed the Chip Zdarsky Daredevil run, which is one of my favorite comic runs of all time. It really is. It's incredible. The art, the writing, oh, it's beautiful. But that run was all leading up to this, baby. Let me read you the back of that friggin' book, Daddy-O. Wilson Fisk has risen from kingpin of crime to mayor of the biggest city in America. Now he's going to bring his full criminal and political power to bear on the superheroes who call New York City home. The man who once destroyed Daredevil has targeted the Fantastic Four, Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and more. Fisk has an army of supervillains at his command, including Crossbones, Taskmaster, Typhoid, Mary, Shocker, Whiplash, Rhino, and Kraven. And that's just his opening salvo. Wait until you meet his Thunderbolts. But Mayor Fisk isn't the only one with ambitions. And you know what they say about honor among thieves. From the blockbuster creative team of Daredevil comes the final act in Wilson Fisk's master plan. Collecting Devil's Reign, number 1 through 6, and Devil's Reign Omega, number 1, by Chip Zdarsky, Marco Cincchetto, I definitely pronounced that wrong, and Marcio Menez. Rated for teen from Marvel Comics. Very good. I also have a lot of the tie-in trades, so we'll get to those eventually as well. But this is the main story, really the only one that you need to read. There's also this little read-up in the front that I'm going to give you as well. Years ago, teenager Matt Murdock was blinded after being exposed to radioactive waste. He lost his sight, but his remaining senses began to function with superhuman acuity and gifted him with an ability similar to echolocation. Dubbed his radar sense, it grants him a unique perspective on the world as he tries to better it as a costumed vigilante called Daredevil. No foe has stood in the way of Murdoch's pursuit of justice more than Wilson Fisk, formerly the kingpin of a vast criminal empire that touched every corner of New York and beyond. Now the duly elected mayor of New York, despite his best efforts, Fisk has failed to truly grow into his office and wash his hands of his old life and the bloodshed it bore. Now, after wedding Typhoid Mary and retiring to upstate New York for their honeymoon, Fisk has discovered a secret that has made his blood boil. So yeah, you got the Stromwinds. You know, they are playing this game with, like, basically the whole world. They're these billionaires that are almost trillionaires that run the entire planet, pretty much. Wilson Fisk confronts Daredevil. Daredevil kind of mocks him, because Fisk, in his estate, finds a folder labeled Daredevil's Secret Identity, and he opens it up, and everything in it is either blank or gibberish. And if you don't know, that is because when he revealed Matt Murdock's secret identity a while back, the Purple Children, who are children of the Purple Man, wiped the world's memory of it, so Matt Murdock could continue being a superhero. You know, the kind of normal bullshit stuff that happens every time a superhero's identity gets revealed, and people want to take it back. It happened to Spider-Man, it happens to Superman, etc. Happened to Nightwing, too, now that I think about it. But yeah, Wilson Fisk is then like, you know what, let's get rid of these costumed vigilantes. It's very Civil War-ish, and they even point that out in this book, that it's almost the exact same thing as Civil War. Except this time, pretty much none of the heroes are for it, and they're all against it. And villains are all for it, because villains are signing up to work as Thunderbolts, so they can basically just be cops. And by be cops, I mean be corrupt as shit and kill people for no reason. Waka waka. But yeah, like the main Thunderbolts team is Agony, the symbiote, Electro, the lady one, who I actually think is more interesting than the original, sorry. Rhino, which actually seems like it doesn't make sense at first, because he was supposed to kind of go straight, but you think about it, and then you're like, technically this is going straight. And then U.S. Agent, who just makes sense. That just makes sense, right? Anyhow, like some superheroes save people from a fire. Like Miles Morales saves a child from a fire. And they're going to arrest him for it. Like these Thunderbolt teams are going to arrest him for it. But like that's not vigilantism. Saving someone from a burning building, that's just something a citizen can do. I mean, maybe they shouldn't, but if you have the ability to and you're there, like that can't be illegal, right? I don't know New York state law or city law or anything, but I feel like that's not illegal here where I live. But yeah, they're going to arrest Miles Morales for saving a little girl from a burning building. But there's also something called Kamala's Law, which is like people of a certain age can't do superheroics, which does make sense. That's a law that I'm kind of maybe for. That kind of makes sense to me. Also, the Spider-Man in this is Ben Reilly, because Peter Parker would be in the hospital at this time. And the Ben Reilly Beyond suit is so cool. Speaking of cool, Dr. Octopus is in this, and the Baxter Building is taken over by him and 3 alternate versions of himself. They call themselves the Superior Four. I do have that tie-in manga. Oh my god. Doc Ock in this has the coolest design, and much to my dismay, he's hot. He's attractive as fuck. Especially for Doc Ock. He's like a good-looking guy with a cool outfit. Damn, he looks good. Shit, he looks really good. Fuck, I'm juicing. But yeah, Shocker has also joined the Thunderbolts and is brutalizing people. And Luke Cage and Jessica Jones save a bus that's like crashed. They save people out of the bus. Once again, that's not crime fighting. Like, if people without powers would have done that, the Thunderbolts would not have tried to arrest them. But it's just that people that had powers did it. It's very clearly discrimination. Like, it can't be illegal to help someone out of a bus that's toppled over, right? Come on. But this leads to Luke Cage giving an empowered speech. He's really good at speeches. And that eventually leads to him running for mayor against Fisk. Tony was going to run, but everyone was like, look, Tony, we're not going to win if you run. Sorry, bud. But here's the thing, though. Big twist. Tony wasn't Tony. He was the Chameleon, who appears to have maybe died in this book? Uh-oh. That's not kosher. Also, Wilson Fisk has the Purple Man locked up, and he's using him and this kind of signal to influence people. It's not direct control, because it has to reach far and do a bunch of people at once, but it is kind of influencing people's minds so that they can kind of talk themselves into voting for Fisk. It even starts to happen to She-Hulk, and everyone's like, wait a second, are we considering Fisk as mayor? And then Jessica's like, oh fuck, this is Purple Man. I can tell. We also get to see a cool fight with the Superior Four. There are 3 different Doc Ocks in addition to the regular one. One is a Hulk Doc Ock, who's like a body horror Immortal Hulk. All his extra arms are just extra Hulk arms that have grown out of him, which is cool. I mean, that itself isn't super body horror-y, but he's like all bumpy and gross, which is the Immortal Hulk body horror part. And then there is a Wolverine one, which is fine. Like, it's not my favorite. When he doesn't have his adamantium things extended, he just kind of looks like a Wolverine. And then there's a Ghost Rider one. That one I really like. His octopus arms are flaming chains that he walks on. That's such a no-brainer, you know? It's so cool. Also, I know I'm saying that it's cool, but have you guys noticed that Marvel's whole thing right now is just character mashups? Like, that's all they do. Marvel just mashes characters up. They're doing it constantly with Spider-Man all the time, because you have that, like, Nightcrawlery Spider-Man guy running around now. But you also have, like, Wolverine's son is now a Ghost Rider also, and it's character mashups are just Marvel's main thing. I mean, you had that Dark Ages story where they mashed up Venom and Carnage and Miles Morales. And then Venomized anybody counts as that as well, actually. Even though I do love Venom so much. And a lot of people are getting Hulk versions, like Thor got a nice little Hulk form in World War Banner, which kind of ignored the fact that he had a Hulk form in Jeff Loeb's run. But still, Marvel is just all character mashups now. Like, and I know DC does it too and stuff, but Marvel really does it, like, to a much larger extent than other comic publishers. I just wanted to point that out. Anyway, there is a prison riot where Moon Knight is freaky. Attacks some guards. And we also see Rhino, not such a bad guy. Like, remember, as I said, Rhino has really been trying to reform, I think, specifically since the clone conspiracy. I think that was the big turning point for Rhino, was clone conspiracy. He's been trying to be a good guy since. Spider-Man kind of pissed him off a lot in Nick Spencer's run. But he's not an active villain anymore. But he's still stuck in that Rhino suit, but he's also not a superhero. He's just trying to be a guy. Trying to survive. You know? Man, I dig Rhino. He's come a long way, and I respect the shit out of him, and most writers are trying to keep him on that good path, which I also really respect. And I think that's because without this redemption, Rhino just kind of ceases to be interesting anymore. So I think a lot of people have noticed that. He's more interesting this way. But Rhino is like, man, I joined because I actually wanted to help. It was a paying gig where I could actually use my powers and I would be doing good. But then they asked me to attack and arrest children, and I was like, fuck you, I'm not going to do that. So then he reveals to the Champions, who are one of my favorite Marvel teams, that if they just slap a Thunderbolts logo on their outfit, the drones will leave them alone. There's all these effing magistrate future state drones flying around, and they can trick them by just putting the Thunderbolt symbol on. But Kingpin uses Purple Man's power to force himself to remember Matt Murdock is Daredevil. That causes a problem, because, hey, he's decided to go murder Matt Murdock. But if you read the Chip Zdarsky run, you know that Matt Murdock isn't Matt Murdock. Because Matt Murdock had to be Daredevil's lawyer. So Daredevil's brother, who was made by magic, yeah, I know, it's weird and confusing. Daredevil's brother is pretending to be Matt Murdock. I think his name is Mike Murdock? Is that right? Whatever, I didn't think he was that interesting of a character. But he served his purpose, because Kingpin murders him. Kingpin straight up murders him, thinking he's killing Matt Murdock, but he's not. And there is a witness, which makes it not great for Kingpin, you know, and eventually leads to Kingpin's son, fully taking over. Kingpin and Daredevil have this huge fight that's really good. Really good. And then there's this big fight with the Purple Man, whose powers have been amplified. It's great. Everything about this book is great. It's got amazing art, too. It's got this kind of down-to-earth, gritty art, which is really perfect for all these street-level New York heroes. When it comes to Marvel these days, I really mostly just want to read street-level stuff. I don't really care to read Thor, for the most part. Or Iron Man, I want to read Daredevil. I want to read Moon Knight. Spider-Man hasn't been great at the time of recording this. The past couple runs have been kind of trash. At the time of recording this, The Amazing Spider-Man post-Nick Spencer, because I really liked his run, has been not good. Which is why I haven't continued a lot of it. But damn, this book is good. It ends up with Kingpin sailing away into the sunset and Luke Cage doing mayor stuff, which I really liked, because he does end up getting elected mayor. Mayor Luke Cage, great development for his character. I really like this angle. I think it really works for him, and I love it. Seriously, I am loving Mayor Luke Cage. Very cool. Also, throughout this book, all of the children of the Purple Man except for one lose their powers. And the one that doesn't lose their powers kind of gets adopted by Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, which to me is like, you adopted your assaulter's son? Wow, that's complicated. Can't wait to explore that dynamic, because it's probably going to be insane. But also, in the kind of epilogue-y stuff in here, there's a bit of a continuity issue. Because when the kids lose their powers, they stop to be purple. They stop being purple, sorry. They just kind of get regular human skin tones. But then, the one that does keep his powers stays purple. The one they adopt is the one that still has his powers, but he's not purple anymore in this book. That is a continuity error. He's not purple. At first, you see him with the power inhibiting collar on, and you're like, oh, that's why he's not purple. It turned his powers off, and when the others lost their powers, they stopped being purple. So, yeah, that makes sense that he'd stop being purple when he's inhibited. Then Jessica pops the collar off, and he doesn't turn purple again. And it's like, hey, why isn't he purple? That's a continuity error. Also, Luke Cage tries to start the Thunderbolts again, which I think leads to that new Hawkeye-led Thunderbolt. And I do not blame Spectrum for not accepting the role, because Luke was kind of being a dick about it. But there are a lot of people in the city that still support Fisk, and his Thunderbolts are still law. Like, the supervillain ones don't exist anymore, but the ones that are basically foot soldiers still do. And Luke still wants to help fight crime normally, even though he's mayor. It's a crazy good book. There are a lot of variant covers, too. There's a nice variant cover gallery in the back. But most of them don't really impress me. There's one Devil's Reign Omega variant by Peach Momoko. That's awesome. I would hang it on my wall. It's this incredible Elektra Daredevil variant with, like, this blood running down from her head into her eye, and then it, like, forms tears, and oh, God, it's cool. But most of the covers are standard fare. There's also some black and white stuff in the back. It's a crazy good little event. I really like Devil's Reign. And one thing that's really good about Devil's Reign, if you've only read Chip Zdarsky Daredevil and then you go into Devil's Reign, that's all you need. Just general knowledge of the Marvel Universe and Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run, and you can fully understand Devil's Reign without any other tie-ins. And I respect the shit out of that. And I still bought several tie-ins anyway. Like, I got the X-Men one, and I got Winter Soldier and Superior 4. I probably won't buy all the Devil's Reigns tie-ins, and in fact, I'm sure I won't. But the main event is a must-read, as is Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil stuff. I haven't read the Daredevil and Elektra stuff after Devil's Reign, but I do have all of it, or at least some of it. I have 2 or 3 volumes at least. I have a lot of comics, guys. It's hard to remember everything I have. But that's it. Devil's Reign is a great event. You have to read that and the Chip Zdarsky Daredevil stuff. I mean, he did such a good job on Daredevil that DC literally begged him to come write Batman. And he did. And then he created fucking Failsafe, who's now, like, huge. and DC's running him into the ground, just like they did the Batman Who Laughs. I'm recording this right before the Absolute Power event starts. But yeah, that is it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below. Facebook, Twitter, etc. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye for now.